You buy a $10 burger every morning. Your friend says you're being wasteful, but you don't care. You have a 6-month emergency fund, you invest 10% of your salary, and you're saving for retirement. 10 years later, you look at your bank account. Wait, is this it? Your college buddy who was way more relaxed about money now owns a house. Another one quit to chase their passion. You're still in the same spot with the exact same financial anxiety. The most frustrating part, you did everything right. My name is Will. Today, we're breaking down 5 financial mistakes that sound smart, are backed by finance influencers, and even suggested by your parents, but are secretly eating away at your financial future. You're probably making 3 out of these 5 mistakes right now. Subscribe and like if this helps. Mistake number 1, emergency fund obsession. You hoard cash in an emergency fund instead of investing aggressively in your 20s. An emergency fund isn't a bad thing, but there's a difference between having enough and making it your top priority at age 24. Traditional advisors say, save 6 months of living expenses before you start investing. It sounds wise, but look at the math. If your living expenses are $5,000 a month, 6 months comes out to $30,000. At age 25, with 0.5% interest, in 10 years, that becomes $31,500. Compare that to this, a 3-month emergency fund and investing the remaining $15,000 in the S&P 500 with a 7% return. In 10 years, that grows to $29,500. Let it grow for another 20 years, it's worth $116,000. The savings account, just $34,000. That's an $82,000 difference from one decision made at age 25. A Vanguard study shows an investor who starts at age 25, invests for 10 years, and then stops, ends up with more money at age 65 than someone who starts at age 35 and invests for 30 years. Those 10 years in your youth beat 30 years of playing catch-up. Emergency funds give you a sense of security. But in your 20s, that is an expensive illusion. True security comes from building wealth, not hoarding cash that loses value due to inflation. Mistake number 2, paying off low-interest debt. Rushing to pay off low-interest debt. Not all debt is equal. A student loan with 3% interest, minimum $200 a month. You force yourself to pay $500 to pay it off fast. It looks responsible, but the math is wrong. That extra $300 a month equals $3,600 a year. If invested with a 7% return, in 10 years it becomes $50,000. By paying off 3% debt faster, you only get a 3% profit. You are throwing away a potential 4% return. Federal Reserve research shows households with a mortgage but a substantial investment portfolio have a much higher net worth compared to those who pay off the house fast but have minimal investments, because they understand leverage and opportunity cost. Credit card debt at 20%, pay it off fast, but a 3% loan, a 4% mortgage, pay the minimum, invest the rest. Mistake number 3, lifestyle inflation. Salary goes up, lifestyle goes up naturally. Without realizing it, you are locked in the middle class forever. This is very subtle. You graduate college, salary is $45,000. 5 years later, it is $70,000. You move into your own apartment, buy a decent car, eat out more often. It all seems reasonable. Another 5 years, salary is $90,000. Nice apartment, elite neighborhood, car upgrade, annual vacations. The math. Salary $45,000, living expenses $20,000, investments $5,000. Salary $70,000, living expenses $45,000, investments $10,000. Salary $90,000, living expenses $65,000, investments $15,000. Income went up 100%, but the margin to build wealth, it stays the same. Compare that with someone who maintains living expenses at $30,000, even though they make $90,000. The margin is $60,000, investing $45,000 a year. In 10 years, with a 7% return, it becomes $620,000. Investing $15,000 a year, only $207,000. A difference of $413,000. Wealth is built by maximizing the difference between income and expenses. If it is stagnant, you are trapped in the goldfish, in an aquarium phenomenon. When the container gets bigger, the size of the fish also gets bigger to fill the space. Your room to move remains narrow. Mistake number 4, over diversification. Too much diversification when you should be focused. To approach retirement, diversification is important. But in your 20s and 30s, building wealth, over-diversification kills growth. $10,000 spread into 20 stocks, crypto, bonds, real estate ETFs, you are guaranteed to get average returns. Average does not make you rich. 1980 to 2020, S&P 500 return is 10% a year, but the 20 best stocks, returns are 3 to 5 times that. Warren Buffett said, diversification is protection against ignorance. The solution, if you have high risk tolerance and a long timeline, which you have in your 20s, place a large portfolio in areas you understand. The rest in index funds as a safety net. Mistake number 5, homeownership too soon. Buying a house too soon because renting is throwing away money. Timing is important. For most people in their 20s and early 30s, buying a house is a big financial mistake. Buy a $300,000 house. A 20% down payment equals $60,000. Mortgage payment, $1,500. Taxes, $300. Insurance, $200. Maintenance, $200. Total $2,200. You could rent an equivalent apartment for $1,600. But mortgage payments build equity. From a $1,500 payment at 4% interest, in the first year, only $600 goes to principal. The rest is interest, also throwing away money. Effectively, you pay $600 for equity, but you spend an extra $600 compared to renting. $600 a month equals $7,200 a year. 10 years invested at a 7% return becomes $100,000. The $60,000 down payment, if invested for 10 years, becomes $118,000. Total opportunity cost, $218,000. House prices go up. Historically, 3 to 4% a year. A $300,000 house in 10 years becomes $405,000. After agent fees, you net $380,000. Equity from payments is $80,000. Total profit, $160,000. Compare that to $218,000 if invested. You lose $58,000. Not to mention flexibility, renting lets you move for a better job. Owning a house ties you down. In your 20s to 30s, career mobility is the biggest trigger for income growth. The pattern? Playing defense too soon. You are optimizing for safety when you should be optimizing for growth. Your 20s to 30s are the accumulation phase. Not the time to play it safe, it is the time to take calculated risks, maximize growth, and let compound interest work. The result? A generation that is financially responsible but not rich. Doing everything right but anxious about money at age 40. Audit your financial decisions. Every dollar, are you optimizing for short-term security or long-term wealth? Calculate opportunity cost. Every decision, paying off debt, buying a house, adding to an emergency fund, calculate the value if invested for 10, 20, or 30 years. Increase the gap between income and expenses by maximizing income. Get a raise, switch jobs, develop high-value skills. Make focused investments in areas you understand. Delay large, binding purchases until you are sure or your cash flow is large enough. This contradicts what you usually hear. There is risk. But the reality is, playing it safe in your 20s is actually risky. You trade decades of growth for momentary comfort. At age 45, realizing you have to work until 70, you cannot turn back time. The best financial decisions look uncomfortable now, but make sense 20 years from now. The worst looks smart now, but sabotage the future. The question is, do you want to be safe now, but anxious later? Or uncomfortable now, but financially free later? Like, subscribe, and comment on which financial decision you are starting to question. My name is Will. See you in the next video. I love you all.